Good evening, everyone, from beautiful British Columbia, Greater Vancouver area. It is August 8th, 2023. My name is Michail Boncea. I am an independent news blogger. I focus on independent news, mostly from British Columbia, Canada, some Canadian, and some international news. I broadcast daily, Monday to Friday. On the weekends, if I do broadcast, it will be a special coverage of a local live event. By local, I mean Greater Vancouver. Or at the same time, it might be on a local independent company. My full videos can be found on YouTube and Rumble under my name tag, Michail Boncea, Michail Boncea. If you like my content and you want other people to be able to see it, as well as me continue to broadcast daily news or talk about independent businesses that mainstream media just doesn't have the time to cover it. Some might be covered by mainstream media. I'm not saying they're not, but the majority will not be covered. Please click the subscribe button or the like button, and it will cost you nothing, but will also be allowing my content to be viewed by more people because of algorithms. Algorithms. That means the more people say that they like my content or they subscribe, the more likely YouTube and Tumblr will show my content to other people that are interested about the same kind of news. I can also be found on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, under the same handle, Michail Boncea, Michail Boncea. If you happen to run a live event, be it art show, parade, festival, book festival, etc., or you have a small company of any kind, could be restaurant, an ethnic store, a bookstore, music store, a video game store, etc. again, based in Greater Vancouver, British Columbia, and you like me to cover your live event or your company, please contact me. Give me some details. If I like it, I will mention it if I have the time. Or I might, in the weekend, if I'm not busy, I might just do a full coverage of your event or your company as a special extra not advertising, but coverage. Same thing if you have a product. If you happen to have a product that you want me to look at it and you want me to see if I like it. If I like it, I will mention it again, and I will, as always, please make sure the product is legal. I don't want any illegal products. And I'm not talking about just illegal drugs. I'm talking about steroids. I'm talking about copies of whatever, soccer jerseys, whatever. No, I want something original. It could be as small as a spoon, as an example. Obviously, nobody's gonna check a new spoon because who needs? But hey, if it's something brand new, technology-wise, send it. I don't charge anything to cover your live event or your local business or your product if I like it. If I don't like it, product-wise, I'll just not gonna mention it. Reason is, I'm just trying to bring to people that are watching this channel on YouTube, especially. Rumble hasn't taken off, but on YouTube has taken off. I want to bring not only independent news, but also talk about companies that are too small to be able to advertise with mainstream media. And maybe, hey, you don't have to be local product wise to sell it. It could be anything from cars, because I drive a car, I drive a Ford Explorer, to also, it could be anything, houseware, anything. But like I said, no copy. I want something original and nothing illegal. Don't want anything to do with it. Give me a shout. Again, nothing to lose. About me, who am I? Well, for years, I don't know how many years, for a while, I just put it that way, over 7.5, 6.5, 7.5 years ago, maybe longer, I was an international sports photographer slash reporter. None of you saw me. I was the person behind the camera recording and asking the questions. Now I came back as a blogger. It's easier because I'm working also full time till I'm building this into, hopefully, time will tell, in a full business. But in the meantime, I'm working full time. So as a blogger, it allows me to cover events and companies. And I start not recording, but I start recording on paper what I'm gonna say when I wake up in the morning, go to work, come back, start writing again, recording on paper before I finally tape. It takes a while. Believe it or not, it takes me on average 2 to 3 hours a day to get the content. Reason is you don't want to just put any content there. You want to put something that is unique. Most likely main media cannot cover it, but also that people will come back to watch it. I thank you all on Facebook for making one of my first reels over 300 hits already. That's a new record. As well as it looks like my today's content on YouTube, well, not today's, yesterday's video, it will be the first one ever to hit 200 hits. I know, peanuts when you compare to people that have been in this area doing it for years. I just started less than a month ago. Well, I was for years, but I quit and I just came back. I quit for personal reasons, but it is what it is. I mostly cover the National Hockey League as a reporter slash photographer. Canada versus Russia series in hockey, Vancouver Giants in Canadian Western Hockey League. I was also official photographer and reporter for some of the Canadian Army events, Memorial Cup, Man Cup, Arts Council of Newsminster, British Columbia. I can go on and on with list wise. My personal choice, favorite wise, I was the official photographer, team photographer. I'm not talking about covering officially. I was the team photographer for over 3 years at the Delta Islanders Junior A lacrosse team. It was a pleasure to see some of those young men when I was there as the official photographer, to see them grow up and start becoming mature. Like I said, I'm not saying I'm not going to do in the future again live events, mostly like I did for years in the past. Right now, I am doing this as a blogger to allow me to work full time still, do this, bring the news, and as we grow, then it will give me the option to do what I did in the past. But till then, I gotta worry about making sure everything is taken care of, everyone is taken care of, and that's the most priority. I love soccer. I played it up to college level, indoor at Douglas College, but that was years ago when dinosaurs were running the world. I'm joking, but it was in the 90s. So yeah, years ago. Most people don't even realize there was an indoor soccer league at Douglas College back then. I don't know if it still is. Maybe it still is. I don't know. Played it in high school. I was one of the two kids, let's call it kids, in grade 8 that we were chosen to play for the senior team for U.S. Mr. Secondary High School. And I know people are passionate. That's why we go and watch the game live because we're passionate. We love our teams. It doesn't matter what team you cheer for. It doesn't matter what sport. It could be soccer. It could be American football. It could be hockey, lacrosse, baseball, rugby. The list can go on. I was also for 3, 4 years, I can't remember, Vancouver Whitecaps now, the access control chairperson for security, that is. I was in charge of all the volunteers security team at Swangard when they played at Swangard for at least 3 years. It might be longer. My title was chairperson. So I dealt with a lot of passionate fans. There's one thing to be passionate, and there's one thing to be criminal. Under no circumstances I can condone, I don't care what team you support, killing another fan from the other team. UEFA had to postpone the game, the Champions League game between Ajax Athens and Dynamo from Team Dynamo from Croatia. The Croatian president has sent condolences to the Greek fans. Reason is there was a massive fight. At least one person officially is dead between the supporters. I'm assuming it was Dynamo Zagreb. I forgot to put the last thing, but I'm very familiar with being from Romania. I'm familiar with the names. So my bet is Dynamo Zagreb fans. There's no words. I played for Faro as a kid. I'm talking about in grade 3, grade 2, 3, 4, before we left Romania. But I played for the volleyball team. I remember the chaos. Because my dad's house, my parents' house, my grandparents, it was just a few blocks away from Faro, Constanța main stadium. Whenever they played a arch rival, like in my case, I was cheering for Craiova University, tens of thousands of fans would be filling the streets. Well, about less than 30,000. Stadium was about 27, but still tens of thousands of fans. It would be full, but not only full, because you couldn't buy tickets in advance. People will try to, will be overpacked, the stadium. Let's just leave it at that. And I remember Sheila used to take me to the soccer games when Faro played. Sheila is Vasily is my uncle through marriage because he married my dad's sister. Kivuta. So he'll take me to soccer because Karma didn't want to watch soccer games. And then Grandpa will take me to Faro rugby games. But, man, the fights that were going on. They will keep each other's flags as trophies. If you happen to go on the wrong side of the stadium, you are guaranteed to get beat up. Your flag the flags from the opposite fans, especially if you were coming to a Forest Stadium and you happen to be Craiova, or if you happen to be Dynamo or Steaua Bucharest, the flags will be put as trophies and they'll be paraded around. Same thing happened when Faro played in those stadiums, and the Faro supporters will go to those stadiums. Still, to kill another fan is not justified. All right, let's move on. I love Banff. Oh, I forgot to mention. I did mention that I was playing for Faro volleyball team for the kids. But both my dad and my uncle, my dad's brother, who passed away, they both played for Faro, but they played for the soccer team, the junior team. So the house was known as a Faro team players. Moving on, I love Lake Louise and Banff. Anybody that knows me personally, they know that. Sadly, overnight, yesterday, the Banff Kodola on top of Sulphur Mountain. Banff, in case people don't know, it is located in Alberta, Canada. It got stuck, stranding over 300 people inside those gondolas. The mountain had to bring helicopters to airlift people. Such a unique thing I can never think of possible to be stranded for hours in the mountain or on the gondolas. But they rescued everybody. Thank God nobody's injured. And thank God it could have been a lot worse. That's the problem when you go in the mountains or anywhere. It could be a roller coaster. It could be anything. If you happen to take any kind of a ride, there's always a risk that something could go wrong. It almost never happens, but you can never say never because you could be the first one out. On a secret, kind of a secret, obviously not secret, but they're not advertising anywhere. As of the last few days, Bacardi has started officially again operating in Russia. Bacardi, like many other companies in the West, they have not actually sold their divisions in Russia. What they did, they sold them, which few people know, to Russian companies for normally $1, $10. And you go like, whoa, they're getting out of Russia. No. They were under pressure by the Ukrainian government and the US government to abandon Russia. So most of those sales have a clause. The clause is that it's not publicly stated, that many of them have up to 5 to 10 years to buy back those divisions for, let's say, $1 million, as an example, because it depends. It could be a car factory, anything. And you go like, they're losing money. No, they're not. Because if they were continuing to operate last year, they could have been facing a huge backlash. This way, no, we sold. We're not anymore in Russia. But the Russians are operating the factories. They supply to a third party all the necessary equipment to make sure that their factories are in full operational speed, as you might say. They don't have to worry about their factories being 5 years with nobody in it, and then God knows if they can reactivate them and how much it will cost. I'm sure some of these companies are probably even providing the parts for free. It's a lot cheaper to have. I don't even know, but there might even be some clauses that part of the profit till they come back goes to the main company, in this case Bacardi. What I didn't know it is that Grey Goose is owned by Bacardi. But then again, Bacardi is a multinational company. So the first two drinks that they're bringing in back to Russia to produce, it will be related to obviously vodka. I don't know if it's Grey Goose being made in Russia, but they mentioned Grey Goose being made in Russia. That makes no sense because I didn't think any Grey Goose, unless it's for the local market in Russia. But they're bringing Grey Goose and a couple of the Bacardi rums to production again in Russia, starting as of, or already started. But as of last week, they reactivated, they took over the factories, paid the penalty, like I said, a couple of million, maybe more. But in the meantime, the Russians kept those factories running. It was a lot cheaper for them to do that than close the factories, make no money at all. And at the same time, when they will be opening the factories, there will be Russian roulette if they can even operate them, depending how damaged they were by then. Heads up. On Tuesday this coming week, it's gonna be in Vancouver as hot as in Havana, Cuba, with humidity. It will be about 35 degrees, and it's gonna be roughly about, supposedly, according to Weather Canada, I'm not a weather person, it's gonna be roughly 3 days. The strongest day will be on Tuesday. Please make sure that you check on with your elderly friends, family members, or neighbors. Same thing if you have a person that is not feeling well, that is a family member or a neighbor or a friend. Please check with them. It's gonna be scorching hot. And if you don't have to be out walking, those couple of days, I don't think anybody's gonna die if they don't go for a long walk. Maybe go for a walk, but shorten it. Well, a Canadian, well, not only Canadian, but a British Columbia government, we lost about $20 million. The California-based electric company, Proterra, filed for bankruptcy yesterday. It is unknown exactly how much is the total bill that BC Transit paid them already. It is known though that in May 2022, we BC Transit is part of where I live, area-wise. I take BC Transit often, especially if I go downtown or certain areas that it's too expensive to park and too busy and it's not worth economically. We paid at that time, and I heard that there's other contracts since, but at least this contract is confirmed. We paid at that time for 10 what is called ZX5 or times 5 model battery electric buses and one charger, $20 million. Done. Company's broke. But how many other contracts have we paid since? That, I don't know. This is kind of confusing because wherever you go around Greater Vancouver, you see everywhere development from BD Group construction. And they're not paying their rent. And it's not just they haven't paid their rent for a month. The Vancouver iconic Kingsway Mall is rumored that they're going to be selling it. The owner is the Vancouver School Board. Since 2005, the site has been leased, the whole property leased, to Kingsgate Property Ltd. Now, who owns Kingsgate Property Ltd? To my surprise, it's a subsidiary of BD Development Group. They have over $50 million in rent that they owe the Vancouver School Board, and they're still fighting in court because they're refusing to pay $1. You will assume such a large corporation will be paying their rent. It's 50 million, and they're still refusing to pay a penny. That's a long, long, long way back. They also have been taken to court to force them to pay any kind of rent because they're refusing to pay anything. They're basically saying, oh, well, what are you going to do about it? So the Vancouver School Board is suing them in court, basically saying, get out, you owe us the money, we want nothing to do with you anymore. I'm actually shocked to find out that such a large corporation it's acting the way they're doing. This is the last one, the last news of the day, and this one is a good one. Well, depends who you're asking. The Sacramento Republic, part of Major League Soccer, have signed the youngest in the history of Major League Soccer player. His name is Davian, hopefully I didn't mispronounce it, Davian Kimbrough. He is only 13 years, 5 months, and 13 days old. Have a wonderful night, everyone, and evening, depending where you are, or morning, and see you all tomorrow.